Okay, guys, now that you had a chance to warm up, now we'll go to this author title first and last technique, which is one of the ways I get away from memorizing everything, right? So if I were an actor and if I had lots of acting skills, this memorizing text would be really important to me. I mean, it's sort of the bread and butter of theatrical dramatic performance. But I'm not an actor. Some of you may be, but most of us aren't. And most of us don't have the time to memorize stuff. Um, why does this matter? Well, it matters is because audiences hate it when you're not looking at them. We hate it when we really hate it when people read us speeches, when we read us presentations. And the reason we hate it is because we're greedy for your eyes. We want to see your face. We want to feel like we're being talked to as if thoughts are going back and forth. And it's so awful. Any parent who's seen a kid go, looks down when we look at me when you're talking to me. We are wired to have this this eye to eye, face to face energy exchange. That's how we feel like we're being addressed, and we feel like the speaker cares. It's no small thing that none of the speakers you've seen are reading text. They're not reading a script. They're not even reading their notes. Now, I will say that, especially in college when we have so many presentations and so much new knowledge, I don't think there's anything wrong with notes or outlines. I don't even think there's anything wrong. I think it's actually good preparation to write out speeches and presentations before we give them. But once we do that, we don't use that writing as a script. That writing is part of our thought process. It's part of us organizing and collecting and pulling together our knowledge. So it's an important part. But after we've written it out, it's really good to then copy our thoughts out into little notes, headers, outlines that help serve as prompts. You never see me using notes or note cards or outlines in my presentations. And that's because A, I know they're not effective. B, I know my stuff. I really know what I want to talk about, what's important, I think, for us to share in a specific lecture or a specific class. I have hours of outlines and note taking and thought process in my study, in my folder, mornings before I teach. You don't see it. We don't see the preparation. But please know that anybody who's lecturing efficiently or with interest, they are doing that preparation before we see them. So, okay, I think you guys, most of you know this, right? You're going to give a presentation. You need to know your content. You need your notes. You have an outline, and that's all very good form. But it's also good form. Sometimes, with our recitation presentations, if I had my druthers, as my mother used to say, my preference, if my druthers, I love that old term. If I had my druthers, I would have you memorize them. And we do that together in live classes. However, if you don't have time, and the truth of the matter is, I don't always have time to memorize a chunk of literature or a speech or a performance that I think is really important. So I sometimes, as a real live professor and speaker, I sometimes need to do. We talked a little bit about this, I think, last week or the week before. But this technique, author title first and last, is a great thing to use, which is to say, rather than memorizing the whole recitation, what we do is we memorize the author's name, the title of the speech, the first line, and then we read it through, and then we memorize the last line. So what happens is that those memorized lines, we can speak directly to the audience. You can speak directly to the camera. I'm going to read today When I Heard at Close of Day by Walt Whitman. So write the title and the author. I said it right to you. When I Heard at Close of Day by, I just cheated. I looked. When I Heard at Close of Day by Walt Whitman. So that's a speech, that's a poem that I was actually asked to read. And you can see my reading. I'll post it in the next video. Why would I be asked to read a poem? Well, I don't know if I told you already, but Smart Son is getting married next week. We love him so very much. He's a wonderful part of our family, a wonderful son, a wonderful young man, and he lives in Alaska, and he and his beloved, the lovely Lady Penny, have decided to get married. I think they want to make a baby, so I think that's part of what's going on. They don't want to wait, and they've been dating, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. We've all met her. She's wonderful. So they're getting married, and they're getting married the week after next in Alaska, and we can't go. We can't go because of COVID, because we're old. We don't want to travel, nor can her family, nor can any of their friends. So because they're desperate to get married and maybe make a baby, if they haven't already, I haven't thought about that. They're having a Zoom wedding. They're having a Zoom wedding. Who ever heard of a Zoom wedding? I'd never heard of a Zoom wedding. It's kind of sad that we won't be there, but no one's going to be there, and they will get married. And then when the pandemic clears, we'll have a big party, or many big parties next year, to celebrate their nuptials. Okay, so a Zoom wedding, this is a real thing. I am a real father. My real beloved son, I should say our son, is getting married. Calls up, says, Dad, I'd like you to read something for the wedding. Would you read something? And I said, of course I'll read something. And he suggested that I read this poem. Great, that's a thing people do. Guess what? You guys will be asked, if you haven't already, you could be asked to read at a wedding. You could be asked to give a speech at somebody's retirement, or to give a best man or a maid of honor speech. So this is like real world, real family, real friendship stuff that we get called on to do, and we want to do it well. We want to show our feeling. We want to make it a good presentation, so forth. All right, so this is what I did. This is what you can do. I don't have time to memorize this this week. In fact, I already did the recording. You can see, I'll post it so you guys can see the actual wedding reading. It's not so great, but I did what I could given the time and my preparation. But here's how it goes. Let me show you. I'm going to try to memorize. When I heard at close of day, 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 when I heard at close of day by Walt Whitman, when I heard at close of day. I got that one down. When I heard at the close of the day how my name had been received. When I heard at the close of the day how my name had been perceived. When I heard at the close of the day how my name had been perceived. When I heard at the close of my day how my name had been received. When I heard at the close of the day how my name. Okay, I've kind of got that first. So here's how I'm going to do it. Author, title, author, first and last. So here's what it looks like. When I Heard at Close of Day by Walt Whitman. When I heard at the close of the day how my name had been received, with plaudits in the Capitol, still it was not a happy night for me that followed. And else when I caroused by that day, then on and on I read through the text, and the night was still, and I heard, okay, so I get reading through all the rest of it. I don't worry about it because I don't have the time to memorize it, but I'm going to read it as well as I can until I get down here towards the end of the piece. For the one I love most lay sleeping by me under the same cover in the cool night. In the stillness, in the autumn moonbeams, this face is inclined toward me. And this arm lay lightly around my breast. And this night, I am happy. Okay, so notice I'm still reading this, but because I took time with the title, the author, the first and the last, you know, I really get to send those thoughts out to the audience. And it turns out audiences are really forgiving. Audiences are so moved. They're so grateful. They're so seen when we speak directly to them. And in the real world, you get this love back from people's gaze. You get their attention. You get smile. You notice that they're getting with it. It's so advanced and challenging for us on these Zoom screens. But you get it. You get to practice. This is the world we live in this year. Hopefully, we won't have to do it too much afterwards. So, what I'd like you to do this week is I would like you to keep working with your text. I want you to warm up before you do it. I want you to memorize, learn by heart, use that rote repetition to get the title, the author, the first line. Then I'd like you to read clearly and thoughtfully as you can through the rest of your recitation. And then when you get to the end line, I'd like you to have memorized it and send it out directly to the camera. So we're going to use this week's video recordings as a practice run, and also as a way of you seeing how you can do, getting the words of the recitation on your mouth, getting more familiar with where you get caught up. And don't really be easy with yourselves as you're reading through. Your tongues will get caught up. Periwinkle and Pignut, good luck, whoever's got that one. And Light of My Life by my loins. There's some really tricky mouth puzzles in these recitations. So don't worry about it if you slip up or read. Just read it. The point of this week is title, author, first, and last, and what it feels like to have those sentence thought balls really in your heart so you can deliver them directly. I can't wait to see these. We have a couple more fun recitation things coming up, but I think this is a good, reasonable, easy, and useful way of you using your class time in such a challenging week. Okay, I'll see you next time. Keep up the good work, gang.